We're doing some cleaning up around here, and this thing's got to go because it's huge and in the way. But that's all right because it's ready. It's been curing for quite a while. Not sure how long, but I think 3 weeks, a month or so, and definitely looks good to go. What we need to do now is break it free from the base, do a little bit of some rough shaping with things like a scraping stone or a file, and then I want to do some light sanding, especially to the top here, get rid of as many trowel lines and things like that as I can from the top and try to get a nice surface detail. I'm going to be using a 220 grit sandpaper for that, probably. I might explore anything from 100 up to 400. Depending on if I'm trying to, how smooth I'm trying to make this. I'm not trying to go too smooth. This is going to have a painted surface on it, so having a little bit of texture or purchase to that actually helps my cause since I'm going to be painting it, because that will help the paint to adhere somewhat. So we're going to scrape the edges. I'm going to put on a mask when I do so it will be harder to talk. So I'll explain now. When I expose the bottom edge, because this is going to be a painted piece when we're done, if there's any piece along the bottom edge which is weak or flared out to a feathered edge, that is very likely to break at some point, probably in the near future. So what I should go ahead and do is scrape that down with one of my implements here and remove that such that I create a strong surface that is unlikely to continue to crack or break in the future. That way, once I'm done painting it, it's unlikely to continue to chip or break near the bottom, which would expose unpainted concrete, which would contrast and look bad. So that's why I'm going to pay special attention to that bottom edge. I want to make sure I take off anything that looks like it's going to break. Like, you can't see it, but it's right in the very corner. It meets in a 90 degree. And that very point of the 90 degree, if I put this on edge and it touches that 90 degree, it's going to crumble that 90 degree corner for sure, because it feathers to zero. So I take a rasp or a grinding stone and I kind of round that a little bit. At that point, it's not going to break or chip anymore now that it's got a slightly rounded profile. And so that's what I'm going to do to the whole bottom edge here. It's going to take me a while because this thing is big and cumbersome. I wouldn't normally do this on the workbench, but I suppose you want to see what I'm doing here. We're going to get it scraped, sanded, and then we're going to wash it off, let it dry, and then we can start the painting process. I guess that's it. We get started. Here we are back. It's washed, it's dried, it's ready to paint. The first layer I'm going to do is going to be green. Crazy, I know. I just thought it would be really interesting. I mean, rocks come in every color you can imagine, and you can go light, you can go heavy. If you get a magnifying glass and go look at some random rock near your home, you're going to find all sorts of colors in there, like blue and greens and yellows. It's really crazy. So adding something like a green it's not as wild as you think it is, although I could get really heavy-handed with it. I'm not going to in this case. I'm just going to accent with green here and there, and then I'm going to proceed with what would be a granite paint job. Maybe I'm going to blend a little green and a chestnut brown here actually with the airbrush. Following that, I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to do some sprayers here. These are little pump sprayers. You can use any kind of sprayer actually, but these ones are small and cheap and they will work just fine. So it's kind of like a cream or tan color, and we've got like a lighter version of essentially the same thing, like an off-white creamy color, and then the final layer will be a black layer, and that should give us a pretty realistic granite rock look for this table that we're building. Table slash bench slash whatever you want to use it for. Let's get started with the green paint. Okay. So the first layer, the green and the brown, were just from the airbrush. This one's going to be from a pump sprayer. You can use larger pump sprayers as well. This kind of size would be pretty good for something this big or larger. The larger it is, the larger the pump sprayer that you should use. Something like this is kind of, somewhere between these two is probably the right sized one for this size piece that I'm working on here. But this will be enough to get us to go. I got to restock on sprayers soon. So for now, I'm just going to use some of this tan color. I want speckles. If you can manage to get speckles out of the sprayer, there we go. For me, in this case, it's kind of like a half pull on the trigger does what I'm looking for. These light spritzing layers, they dry pretty quick, but you still want to give them some time because I want differentiation of color. If I have color land on top of this with the next layer, I want to see the two individual layers. I don't want them to just kind of bleed together into one color. I want to see the individual layers, which you can't really tell too much in the lens there, but definitely in person you can. And certainly once the sealer is applied, it really makes those different colors pop. So I'm going to let this go for, a couple of minutes, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. Let this dry before I add the next layer, which is going to be kind of like a cream off-white color. We've had some time to dry for that last layer. Going to go ahead and proceed with this cream color. Once again, let that layer dry. You will be able to see these different colors in the finished product. You probably can't see much right now in person. I can see it here, but I was going for something just a little bit more, with a little bit more color. So I'm going to add a little bit more color here before we proceed to the final layers. We started with a little green. Let's just add a little bit of those speckles in there. Don't want to go overboard. Okay, let's go ahead and let that dry and we'll see what it looks like after that. We added some of the green as a mist pattern, so let's go ahead and add some of this chestnut brown as well. Not too much again. Especially with the darker colors. I don't want to go too heavy with it, but just a little bit. Okay, again, let that layer dry. A lot of waiting with this process. Decided to add a few more speckles here. We're going to go with light gray. So you might be thinking, oh, we already did the light one here. I want to show you the difference. So this is the one we did already. It's more of a cream versus more of a gray. So we're going to go with the gray tone versus the cream. The cream is made from this color. This is also the one that we used earlier. Added some white to that, and those two complement each other nicely. But I want some more speckles, and I'm going to have them using this light gray color. Let's do so thusly. Sprayer's the best. Anytime I have a sprayer, which for whatever reason, the manufacturing of this one is superior to the others, its spray works really well. I often will take this one, clean it out with some water, and then designate it to black. Black is the most important color that we're going to add. It's always the last color that you add, and ideally you want to have a very reliable sprayer for that one, because if your sprayer comes up with the black, if it comes up with this color here, you wouldn't even notice. If it comes up with the black one, it could totally ruin or really detract from what you're doing, because once that black hits there, it stains it. And if you get a big ugly glob that you do not like, wow, there's not a lot you can do about it. You can blot it out, you can sand it out, you can paint over it with, you know, grays and other colors that we've already used here. But it's just ideal if you could have a really good, really reliable sprayer like this one. I just stumbled upon it and I can tell right away I like it better than the other ones. Probably going to end up designating that to black. Lots of waiting, but it's totally worth it. This looks great once it's finished. And I'll get some high-res pictures attached at the end of this video so you can hopefully see and appreciate a little bit more why we're taking the time to do all these steps, because it really, you are rewarded for it at the end. It does kind of pop, and it has this real depth of character to the color that you really can't get from 1 or 2 layers. It takes 5 or 10 layers of color to get that depth of color. We have arrived at the last layer, a layer of black. And we want this to be a fine misting layer, as we have with the rest of them. But this one's a lot more unforgiving. If we get a big ugly blotch of it, it's going to stand out and look pretty bad. And you can do a little bit about it, but not a lot of it. Ideally, that won't happen. I'm holding paper towels in my hand. If I get a big ugly spot, I can try to pull that out before the concrete has a chance to let it set in. See, like this guy here? Nope, already set. Gotta be super fast. But that's okay, because some big splotches and little splotches, it's all par for the course for how rocks look, so it's kind of hard to do this wrong. All done. Now all we have to do is let all of this completely dry before we add the sealer layer. Kind of dry is not enough, because sealer will react with the water that is mixed in with these paints. So that's why it's really important at this point, just let this thing sit overnight or bake in the sun before you apply the sealer layer. But once we do, we should get a lot of pop between these different color layers that we've added. Well, here we are a couple days later. It's fully dried now and ready to seal. And I have to say, I really like it. The sealing process that we're going to do is very simple. We're going to be applying through a spray bottle a water-based acrylic concrete sealer. And it will say that somewhere right on the bottle. And it will say cleans up with soap and water. That's how you know it's water-based. Could you use something else? Yeah, probably. There's a lot of different sealers you could use. I just know that I have a lot of success with this one. I know that we used an acrylic paint process on this, so we're not going to get any conflict between the acrylic sealer and the acrylic paint. The stuff lasts a long time. I have many pieces I seal one time, single application, and never again, and they last decades like that. Or you can reapply every couple of years, which would give you the most color fastness and the most longevity of this paint job. But I'm going to go ahead and apply a light layer of this stuff. You don't want to go too heavy with the layers, so either one, kind of medium heavy coat or 2 lighter coats would be the approach that I would take for something like this. When you spray it on, it will have a purple hue to it. That goes away, it will dry clear. And you don't want it pooling or running. Like if I spray it on and it's running down, I'll just blot that a little bit to, because that will be visible in the finished product. Similarly, on top, I don't want any puddling or pooling, because that won't cure properly and there will be a visual detraction there. So I will go ahead and get my mask on, we'll get this thing sprayed down, and then I'll be sure to include some high-res pictures so you can see just how good this looks. And here we have the finished product. Now remember, with the underside of this, the foam is still exposed, so you can seal it with a glue or PVA product, or ideally you would have a thin piece of rubber that you would sit this on top of, trace out and cut that rubber so it fits perfectly, and then attach with something like silicone would do the job. Either one of those would be acceptable for the bottom of this piece here. But as you can see, the sealer layer has dried. I'm only going to do one layer because that layer went on heavier than I wanted to. I was having trouble getting the fine mist I wanted from that sprayer, so it went on a little bit heavy, but it's fine. It's all absorbed in here and dried, and that's it. This thing's done. Now I can put it outside and leave it for the next 10 to 20 years. I really like how it looks. I hope that you enjoyed this process. This was a fun one. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy making something like this for their house. And see you again soon on the next project.